So I think the best way to go about it is that if Katie's going to start from the beginning, tell her story, everything, I'm going to jump in. I'll take it from my ends and kind of say like what happened. And then we're going to dive in and we're going to do the reading.
Okay, perfect. So we're putting in a fence. We have 2 big dogs. So we started building our own fence and we were almost done. There's like 2 post holes left. And we get over to the side of the house and we start digging the post hole. By we, I mean Brandon. I was not. And he gets like 2 feet down with the auger and he comes and gets me and he's like, there's a carpet, like there's carpet underground. And we were like, that is very strange. And didn't like think too much of it, just thought it was really weird. And then this desk here where I do a lot of my videos, this is where I work. And so I got done with work, I shut my laptop and my son was out of town. And sometimes we sleep with these doors closed if we don't have the dogs in our room. And that night we didn't. And so these doors were closed. So the dogs were not in here. The room was empty. And I come back down the next day and I walk in and I don't know if the computer or the smell happened first, but very simultaneously, I smelled like a wood burning, like a bonfire right at like the entrance to this door. And then when I came over my computer, the screen is shattered and this thing that like my phone is sitting on right now, that was kind of like off my desk, stuff falling down, things moved around like all over my desk. And at this point I just start accusing everyone. I'm like, why did you break my computer? Like what's going on? And nobody did it. And so I turn on my phone and I show my desk and my broken computer. And then I said, and weirdly, there's a rug underground. So like, is a ghost mad at me? And then it just kind of started going from there. Took my laptop to the Apple store. And then we came home from the Apple store and we're like, well, let's just dig a little further. See if we can like see anything else. So we start digging more and then we find the tag to the blood good tree. And I make another video. I'm like, isn't this weird? This tree is called a blood good tree and it's on top of a carpet and my computer's broken. And I'm just like tying all these things together in my brain of like, what is going on? And then everyone wants me to call the police. So I call the police, they come out and they find it to be very strange, very interesting. They put gloves on, they're kind of like looking around the hole. But they essentially say that without more information, they can't put resources into it. And so they call it a day. They leave, they say, I'm free to dig it up if I want. And if there's anything there to call them, and obviously they'll come back. So then I went back and forth on it. If I want to dig it up, do I want to destroy my yard any more than I already have? And I wasn't going to. And then of course, these lovely people on the internet were like, you have to do it. So I planned to dig. And I have 2 friends who were going to come over and we were going to dig. And an hour after I put that video out, the police call me and they say they want to send cadaver dogs before we touch anything. And I'm like, okay, this is great. This is going to put everything to bed. Then I don't have to dig up my yard because they're not going to smell anything. And like case closed, I can move on. And as the world saw, the dogs both sat. And the police were basically telling me that these dogs cannot misconstrue human to animal. They said that they go through like intense training and they can walk by, I guess part of their training, they will walk past dead skunks or deer and they'll like bring them by animals and they don't stop. And they don't sit by the animals. And then he said there's a difference between someone like a bloody nose or not even that. It was something along the lines of like decomping human. Cause I asked if it could be from like me digging it, if they could smell that I was by the hole. And he said, no, it's decomposition. And they both sat, and at the point that they sat, I got really scared because up until then, I did not really think there was going to be a body in my yard. But the second those dogs sat, then I started to think maybe there could be, and I got really freaked out. And then they dug, and they had to bring in excavators. It took 6 guys. They were like waist deep in this hole. And they pulled out a massive like piece of carpet and some like rubbering. I actually didn't have the best view of it because they had a shield up so that I couldn't record it. So I couldn't see exactly what was coming out, but there was some other people's views that I've seen in videos. It looked pretty big. And then that was it. They took it. I called them yesterday, actually. They told me that it was still in processing with CSI. And I left a voicemail and asked if they could let me know when it was done and if I could get it back. Because I feel like if they give it back to me, that means there's nothing on it. And if I can't get it back, that kind of leaves me with question marks. So
can you tell everybody too, before we jump into everything, like the moment that you started moving into this house, you told me weird things happened. Like you were pulling up, and as you were pulling up, basically the coroner was coming out and there was like a dead body. that
Yes.
like was found in your neighbor's house.
Yeah. So my next door neighbor, apparently she had passed away, and the day that we bought our house, like 10 minutes, my neighbor said like 10 minutes before we got here, the coroner had just pulled off. So the next door neighbor had died when the day we bought the house, or died before, but they found her body the day we got the house. And then the day that 1 year later, now we're into next October, that was last October. 1 year later, my computer gets shattered the same day they start boarding up her house. It had just sat vacant the whole time. And they start boarding it up the day that my computer gets shattered. And I have been like weirdly connected to the house because there was water, like a pipe had exploded, and I was the one that called 911. So for this house to sit there and have these weird synchronicities with my life, and yet I've never met her or anything, yeah, it was just kind of, it was strange.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So the first time that I went and I met Katie, immediately I picked up on, it doesn't have many people who had died, you guys. Like the being a medium, that's the first thing I check, right? It's like, who's with you, who's watching over you? And right away, like when I connected with her, and like even now, your grandfather's here. I also have your dog that's here that passed away. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a reading. I'm first just going to say a prayer because I want to open myself up to everything, see what's going on, and we're going to start with psychic protection. So what psychic protection is I say a prayer to get us into the vibration of the other side and make sure that whatever we're sensing and feeling and whoever starts to come through is a good and positive soul, because there's two different vibrations, right? There's a higher vibration, which has our loved ones, our angels, and our spirit guides. And then there's a lower vibration, and the lower vibration is where the paranormal comes in. The lower vibration are souls that have not crossed over yet. So these are souls that did terrible things, like murdered and killed people, right? That haven't gone into the light, that haven't transitioned over to the other side. So I always practice psychic protection before every event, before going on TV, before doing what I do, just to keep us all protected. So that being said, dear God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, Archangel Michael, all of our guides and all of our angels, please watch over us here on TikTok as we do this reading. Make sure that anyone who comes through is a positive and loving being. Please watch over Katie and the house and our family and allow us to find the answers that we need to know what's going on. And what I'm first going to do is when I close my eyes like this is that I'm asking on the other side if anybody wants to step forward and speak. And right away, first, front and center is your grandfather. And we're going to start with him because your grandfather's already on the other side. And he is going to be like our spirit guide through all of this because your grandfather can see what's going on in that house. He can see, because when our loved ones go to the other side, they get a different filter. They can see what's going on in the house, what's going on with you, what happened, how this all came to be. And first of all, I got to tell you that the moment that I'm connecting with him, and by the way, before I even get started, because this man's overwhelming me, I'm going to tell you how this is going to work. We're going to channel her grandfather. We're going to get those messages out of the way. We're going to see who comes through. We're going to ask him about the house. And we're going to see what other souls are there. Okay, just so that you guys know what I'm doing. I'm bringing you behind the scenes. This is really tough because the moment that I'm connecting with your grandfather, he had such a strong love for you here in this world. And the moment that I'm speaking to him, he just said to me that he was holding on for you, like that he did not want to go to the other side because of the fact that he loved his life so much. And when I'm speaking to him, this is really tough because I know that you had such a strong connection. I know that your grandfather was your best friend. And then also at the end, he's bringing me through his body and he's telling me that this not only affected him physically, meaning a physical illness, but he's also telling me that at the end it started to affect his head before he passed as well. Because he talks about like having some memory issues and about not being like cognitive before he had died. He says to me, and Matt, you need to let her know that I never forgot about her. I never forgot about her. And he says to me, the only thing is that when he died, like he always was thinking about you of when you were a little girl. Like those were his best moments of you. It's the moments that he's always treasured. And even now on the other side, he shows me that one of the most beautiful things is being able to see you being a mom. And before we even get into the house, he just said to me that you need to give yourself more credit because he tells me, Katie, that you've always been a people pleaser and that you've always been going and trying to like help everybody else out and be there for everybody. And like you always like take your job as a mom being like so serious and like you're always worried about like what other people will say or do or think. And your grandfather just said to me, I am so proud of you. Your family's proud of you. And he just said to me that what he wants you to know is this, is that on the other side, not only is he part of your life, but he's also letting you know that he's seen all the challenges and struggles that you've gone through. And he's actually bringing me to this house because he tells me that this is a new chapter for you and your husband. It's supposed to be a new chapter for the two of you. And what's so beautiful is when I'm connecting, he's also talking about your dog that had passed as well. And this was like, these two deaths were like the hardest things that you had to go through because I keep seeing this dog also coming through. And your grandfather's telling me that you held on to this dog for as long as you possibly could. Like you did not want to put this dog down. here in this world. And I see that you waited like to the very last second, the very last day to actually put that dog down. And that soul is also here and watching over you from the other side, which is so beautiful. What I want you to know is that when I'm connecting with your grandfather, right away, he said to me that he's been the one that's watching over you. He's there in that house with you. He says to me, thankfully, and I wasn't expecting this, you guys, he just said to me that there is nothing paranormal going on in the house with an evil spirit. So that's a good thing. The house isn't haunted. He just said to me, there's nothing wrong with the house. However, he just showed me that this is all connected to that neighbor that had died that's by you. He said to me that what's so crazy is, all right, hold on. He's telling me everything. This is freaking crazy, you guys. So when souls are on the other side, they can see other souls. And your grandfather just said to me that he can see that neighbor who had passed. Mm-hmm. He had said to me when I'm connecting that that neighbor has been trying to get in touch with you. That's the reason why all of these weird things had happened. It's no coincidence that you had gone and seen the house flooding out. It's no coincidence the house flooded out exactly when you were home. You saw it. You were drawn over to the home. Mm-hmm. You bought your house and moved into the house the day that that neighbor died, and that body was taken out, right? Mm-hmm. And then also at the same time, when I'm connecting, your grandfather's also showing me that this soul has been trying to get your attention and trying to communicate. So we're going to find out why. Oh my God, this is really sad, you guys. So first of all, the moment that soul's coming through. So this was a female that had passed, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because when I'm connecting, I'm seeing her here and they're telling me that she was a very, very, very good person here in this world. But I see when I'm connecting that she was very lonely. And I'm seeing when I'm connecting with her that unfortunately here in this world, the only thing that she had was that house. And that only thing that she had was this neighborhood. She loved her house. She loved her neighborhood. She is not stuck, meaning that she's not trapped in her house attached to that land. She is on the other side. But what's hard is this, is that I'm seeing when I'm connecting with her that because she didn't have like a family of her own, and because of the fact that she was so lonely, the moment that she died and saw you and your husband moving in and the dogs moving in and your children moving in, she had this she had almost like this attachment to you guys. And when I say attachment, don't think like spiritual attachment, like she's not like haunting you or like stalking you, but I see that she was genuinely, genuinely interested in the love that you all had for one another. Mm-hmm. And I see that. What's really interesting is that when souls first pass on, they have to learn how to channel through. So like, even as I'm connecting with her, like she's coming in and coming out, coming in and coming out. And when I'm speaking to her, the first thing that she's showing me is that all of this that had happened, because I'm asking her in my mind, tell me about the rug, tell me about the house, tell me what had happened. All of this that had happened was her trying to get your attention because she didn't know how to communicate. So for example, what happens with your laptop, right? The weird thing that happens with, her house flooding out and you seeing it and having to call, 911 and go over there. The fact that all of a sudden, you found this rug and, the police were called and then the cadaver dogs came in. That, animals can see spirit. And I see that this was all like a ploy from the spirit world for her really trying to get attention and she didn't know how to communicate and how to speak from the spirit world. And that's what I'm seeing right now. Hold on one second. She does tell me that she did know the old owners of your house when I'm connecting. And she's telling me what's really interesting is that that rug that was placed there was not placed there by the owners. Somebody else placed that rug there. That's the weird part. Hold on. And from what she's showing me, I don't believe that that rug actually came from your house.
I don't think it did either, because my whole house is hardwood and there's no like nail holes. Like, it's like nice hardwood, as if there was never carpet above it.
I don't believe it came from that house. That's what she's showing me. So what I see is that, there's all different parts to this, you guys, right? And as a medium, like I'm seeing all of this. So I'm seeing your grandfather that's here, that's in the house and with you, right? You have your dog here that's in the house that's with you. But I'm also having this neighbor that's kind of coming in and out. And this neighbor is the reason why your dogs are acting up, the reason why like your dogs are barking and no one's there, all of these random things. Because, and by the way, in the comments, I want you all to know this. If you've gone and had this experience, if you've recently lost a loved one, when souls first pass on and they are transitioning onto the other side, they have to get used to their spirit body. So let's just go back. When we die, we leave our physical body here and our soul transitions onto the other side. So the same way that when our soul enters our body when we're born, We have to learn how to walk. We have to learn how to talk. We have to learn how to use our hands, right? All of these things when we're born into our body. Well, then when our soul leaves our body and we go to the other side, we have to learn all of these things. We have to learn, how to walk, talk, speak, connect, do all of these things. So when your loved ones first transition out, and this may have happened to some of you all in the chat, weird things start to happen, right? Your lights might start to flicker. You might start to feel as though that you're not alone in the house. You might start to feel a weird energy. Some people hear knocking, right? Some people have things flying off the bookshelf. And really what it is this is called a breakthrough sign. So a breakthrough sign is the early spirit communication sign when souls are trying to reach you, connect with you, and speak with you from the afterlife. So what I want you to know is that's her way, because she didn't have any like living relatives. She didn't have any people like here in this world that were connected to her. Mm-hmm. So, when she got to the other side, because of the fact that you're near her house and she sees your family and she sees this new journey, that's her way of showing you that she's there. That's the craziness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was told that she didn't really have much of a family at all.
What's crazy is that she definitely shows me that she's very much into like, not in a creepy way, but definitely likes to watch over your kids and like you as like a young family. That's what I'm seeing. The connection is there. And you've already felt this. The fact that you felt a connection to that house and the story, and the fact that you felt drawn in was really her spirit making all of this happen. I'm trying to figure out what the rug is. I don't see right now, as of right now, that it's connected to a murder or anything like that as of yet. The only thing that I'm getting on that is that it was placed there by someone else. And I don't think this was not like a recent thing, guys. This happened like years ago, because I see that when it was placed there, like the front yard was at a place where it was dug up. That's what I'm seeing. I'm listening to see if they show me anything else. I was actually very worried, because I got to tell you that when it came to this reading and I first saw you online and heard about the story and heard about the weird things that were happening in the house, and I told this to you beforehand, I was very scared of something paranormal happening, because when I first tapped in and I first talked to you on the phone, immediately they showed me that like your house had been vacant for quite some time and like nobody had been in there. Like that's what I had picked up on. Yeah. And what's crazy is that sometimes when we have things that set, or things that, like, for example, let's say you move out of your house for a couple years, right? Souls, especially souls that have not crossed over, find their way in there. So that's the reason why a lot of times you hear about abandoned places being haunted, like abandoned hospitals, abandoned buildings, abandoned insane asylums, abandoned prisons. You might think that it's because bad things happened there, but really what it is that, hold on one second. What really happens there is that a notification came up. Evil souls like to be by themselves. Evil souls like to be alone. So sometimes they move in. And sometimes what also can happen is that, let's say that you had a family that was in there before you, that was going through a divorce or going through a hard time or going through extreme sickness. Mm-hmm. That energy can linger in the house and can be what you feel. So right away, I was really concerned when I first, heard about your story and all the paranormal activity. Luckily, that's not happening here, right? It's a good soul. It's just the soul of your neighbor. She is on the other side. But I will tell you, at the same time, to clear out that energy, it's really important for you to go and to bring as much energy into that house as you possibly can. For example, putting up pictures of your grandfather, since he's like your spiritual guide, he's on the other side, going and, reclaiming that space, really make it your own, bring your friends and family over. Because what's so beautiful is that when it comes to your house and when it comes to your home, the more energy that you put in it, it pushes out the past energy that was there, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of comments have been like, well, aren't you scared with like the weird things happening? It's never felt like someone was like out to hurt me. Like, even like when the computer broke, I more like took it as like attention. I don't know. It just physically, to me, I haven't felt scared.
I got to tell you that what's crazy is that when I connect with the other side, right, there are times when places are really haunted, right? And then other times what really happens is in a case like this, it's just a passing spirit. It's a spirit who passed in a nearby area that was connected to the house or the land or whatever it is. Luckily, this is the soul that we can identify. And this is a soul that we know is, what's it called? This is a soul that we know wants good things, not bad things. And what I also have to tell you is that your grandfather really wants his presence to be known. That's a soul that's stepping forward, that's with you. And if I got to tell you guys, if you could see what I see, like when I connect with him, this man had such an amazing personality here in this world when I'm connecting with him. And by the way, he showed me like all these old pictures of himself. Like he thought he was like so good looking here in this world when I'm connecting with him. He used to like make up these stories like that all the women wanted him and like back when he was younger. And like he's bringing that through when I'm speaking to him on the other side. And the first thing that he is also telling me is, Matt, he goes, I just want to let her know that in heaven, I'm back to being myself. And he's sorry for what you had to see before he died. Your grandfather actually just said to me that he wants to thank you so, so much for the way that you never lost sight of him, for the way that you would go and literally make sure that you would check in on him all the time, that like even before he had died, you'd go and visit him. He says, and I got to be a part of her life right up to the very end. And he wants to thank you for bringing him on that journey with you because you never lost sight of him. And he's actually acknowledging that. He actually is also telling me when I'm connecting with him that at the end of his life, he says, I want her to know that I passed peacefully. He goes, I didn't want to go because he loved his life so much. But he says to me that he got to see everything that he wanted to see. And he's bringing that through. And he's also showing me when I'm connecting that he's also with a baby that's on the other side as well when I'm connecting. So with that being said, was there a child that was lost?
I mean, I just had a miscarriage like a month and a half ago.
Know that soul just appeared, that soul is with your grandfather. Because he just showed me this baby there and he just said to me, let her know that that soul is with me. So listen, I don't want to get too much into your personal business, but your grandfather just said to me like that, this is one of the things that really is causing you anxiety right now and really causing you a lot of stress and a lot of pain. And your grandfather just said to me that you're not sure if you want to get pregnant again or if you want to go through this because you just went through all of this hardship with the loss of this pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And your grandfather is saying, don't worry about the past because you're so worried about like, will this happen again? What if this happens again? And your grandfather's saying, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And he's bringing that through.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing in my mind every time I think about it.
He says to me, don't lose sight of your plan because he tells me that your husband really wants to have a child with you. And he's saying to me like that. And listen, I don't mean to bring up everything, but I have to bring up everything. He just said to me when I'm connecting, Matt, you got to let her know that, by the way, I love your husband. I never met him, but from when I'm connecting you, like I see all parties involved and he shows me that your husband is like such a sensitive and kind and like caring soul. And he's so like protective of you and like your emotions, like he really balances you out. But I also see that like, cause he's like this calming presence and you're like always up here.
We're so opposite.
But I also see that like, he's nervous to approach you again on this. Like he's nervous because he doesn't want to see you go through, the pain or the emotions of, the emotions of going through another pregnancy and being worried or scared. So your grandfather's saying like, don't be afraid to talk about it with one another.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is Brandon to a T.
So know that that's the reason why. And I got to tell you as well. And listen, everyone's saying, oh, it's a boyfriend. It's a boyfriend. To me, you got to know that. Go ahead. Sorry.
He is my boyfriend, but we call each other husband and wife. But we're not married, but we do call
You're going to know that to me as a medium, I don't check the legal certificates to see if he has a certification or not, right? To see if you actually got married. I see him as your...
Yeah, that's how we like introduce each other to people. We'll be like, oh, that's my husband, that's my wife. But we're not.
You're going to know it's the energy. He's here to stay. It's not like he's a fling.
Vibes, okay?
Well, you're going to know, like, even like, for example, souls here in this world. Let's say that you were married, right? Here in this world. Or let's go the opposite. Let's say that you weren't. Right? On the other side, a soulmate recognizes soulmate. So some people don't get married here in this world, but are still husband and wife on the afterlife. It's whoever your soulmate is, that's who you're connected to. And that's what I'm seeing. So his soul is absolutely connected to you. And I see that like, this is such a beautiful thing because when I'm connecting with the other side, your grandfather has really, really been up in the back end of your life without you even realizing it or knowing it.
Yeah, and my grandpa hated my boyfriends back in the day, so he would love Brandon.
That's crazy. So I know everyone's asking about about the rug, but you guys, the thing is that like if there was something there, right? I'm not seeing anything crazy with that. Like a lot of this, so there's, like I said, there's multiple parts with this. And I see that a lot of this attention that has been manifesting, that's been coming on. For example, the things we can't explain. For example, Katie's laptop breaking, the fact that this house flooded out, the fact that the day that she moved in, the coroner was pulling out a body, right? This and the cadaver dogs, thank you. The cadaver dogs sitting on that area. Like this is all of those pieces are connected to this neighbor that had died. Okay, that neighbor died, trying to get attention from the spirit world, is making all of these things happen. And souls will sometimes do this to get attention, right? And you always know when a soul's trying to get your attention when things happen in, repeating in repeating phases, right? For example, signs come and you keep hearing the same songs, the same repeating numbers, the same whatever it is. And the only thing that's weird about the rug situation is I do see that it was placed there by someone else. I feel like somebody, and I don't know that what it looks like to me, because this was somebody like not connected with the house. It almost looks like somebody had either a contractor or a landscaper or someone get rid of this rug. Like just be like, oh, here, get rid of this for me. That's the only thing that I'm really seeing it. But I'm not seeing like that. As of right now, I'm not seeing anything coming through that it's connected to a murder and stuff case.
I mean, that's ideal. Like as nice it would be, I think, if I happened upon a rug in the ground that could have helped a cold case, like that would have been incredible. And to bring, some kind of closure to someone's family would be amazing. But, yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's not, right? But I'm not getting the energy off of it yet. Like there's no soul that's here that's saying I died and I was wrapped up in the rug, right? That's not what I'm hearing. If it was, I would tell you guys. But what's the weird part about this, which I gotta see if anything else comes to me. The weird part about this is the fact that it wasn't in that house, like it was brought in. That's the thing that's really weirding me out, because as a medium, like I'm trying to figure out like where the hell, who brought it, how brought it, and how did that come in? Like that's the odd part, because it's not like it came from that house and was buried in the backyard. Like I don't see it being a part of that house.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying it could be like construction debris from building the house, but that didn't make sense to me because I don't think there was carpet in the house.
The only thing that I was picking up on earlier, like before I even get into the reading, right? There's weird things that that will come in, like little like impressions of like what happened or like what took place or like certain things about the area or the lands. And I also saw like, do you know if there was at one point another structure that was either being built over there or that was being built on the property?
I don't know.
Like either a garage or like a tool shed?
Yeah, there's a shed like in the back corner.
By that area?
On that side of the house, yeah, not very far at all.
Okay, because I feel like that might have been when like this was dropped or delivered. Like there was something weird that I'm not able to pinpoint with that, but that's also coming up. But yeah, luckily there's nothing that you have to worry about in terms of like staying there or the house being haunted or any evil souls or anything like that. Thank God, because like I said, at first I was worried, and that's immediately like what drew me to you, is that when I saw like you and your kids and your family and all of you guys were tagging me on TikTok being like, you got to see what's going on with Katie. You got to see what's going on with Katie. And immediately, like when we first talked, I was like, oh my God, like I'm hoping to God, like this isn't like an evil entity or something like that.
Yeah. And I truly, like, so many people have been like, how are you scared? I would have had to leave the house. It doesn't feel scary. Like it really doesn't. Like I've wondered who, what, and why, but like it hasn't been like a evil feeling.
You will, and everyone's asking like, what about the bonfire smells, right? So yeah, so when souls come and visit you, like even as me as a medium, like when I'm connecting with certain souls and connecting with the other side, when souls come to us, they don't speak our same language. So even me as a medium, I don't have her grandfather here being like, hey Matt, can you let her know that I'm here? Tap, tap, tap. What it is that they speak in a different way. So they use signs to communicate with me, but they'll show me last moments of their life. They'll show me, influential memories, things that they loved, things that they cared about. And then when they come through to you, your loved one's actually on the other side when they transition over. Pick signs that they'll use to reach you. And when you feel a presence and sense a presence, a lot of times smells are associated with them. So for example, let's say your grandmother passed away and she wore a certain type of perfume. It might be that from time to time you smell that perfume around you. It might be that, for example, I'll tell you, there was a client that I was reading for. And when I was connecting with her father came through, and right away I kept smelling Folgers coffee. Like it was like all throughout the room. I'm like, what the hell is with Folgers coffee? And she was like, oh my God. She's like, Matt, she's like, every morning my dad used to wake up and make Folgers coffee at 5 a.m. and leave me a cup of coffee on the counter. She's like, and then after he died, she goes, a couple times I woke up in the morning, I could smell the coffee pot on, and she went to the kitchen and nothing was plugged in, nothing was happening. It was just, and she's like, what the frig just happened? Like, I can smell coffee, but everything's unplugged. There's no coffee anywhere in sight. Well, it was her dad's spirit. So souls do come through with smells, and they actually can't even help it, right? It's the smells that were associated with them here in this world.
Wow. So I wonder I don't know, like what it would be, but it was very specific to like this area, to where like we went down to the basement to see if there was something like on fire, because it was so weird, because it was raining outside. It was so strange.
It's not strange to me. Like, all of this, what's so crazy with the spirit world is they orchestrate these things, right, that happen, that get our attention and that make us say, what the hell? How did this happen? How did this take place? Like, this leads to this, leads to this, this leads to this. It's like all signs and synchronicities. Like, the same reason why you keep seeing the same numbers repeating every single day, the same reason why you keep hearing the same type of songs, the same type of things. Like, these are all connected. It's all happening for a reason. And what they're really trying to do is to get our attention from the spirit world and really try to get us to understand they're there. So what I really want you to do tonight, Katie, is like, when we get off this live stream, when you feel comfortable, you need to revisit that house across the street. Don't do it on live, right?
Yeah.
Do it. Just be present. I want you to be present. The whole thing is being present.
Okay.
Visit that house and make peace with that neighbor. Just say to her, listen, I know that you're trying to communicate with me. I know that you're trying to talk to me, and know that you're watching over my family, and just let her know that you hear that, and that you hear that, and that you heard her reaching out to you. And tell her, I received your messages. I know that you're here. And then ask her for a certain sign. Say, I want to know that, you're happy that I'm living here, that you're watching over the lands, and send me this sign. It could be a number. Don't share it with anyone on social media. Keep it to yourself, right? And then let her come to you in that sign. Because what you can really do in this situation is when you have certain souls that watch over you, you can actually go, and once they step forward to communicate, you can actually assign a sign to them that they can use to get your attention and to let you know that they're there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to go over there. I haven't been over there in a while. Okay.
Just go, just you, because what's crazy is that, like, and this is what's amazing about like mediumship, is that she has a connection to you, not to your boyfriend, not to your kids, not to like obviously she looks out after you as a family, right? But it's solely you that she was like trying to communicate with.
Yeah. This sounds so weird, but like I said that to someone, like I just felt so drawn to that house, and the fact that like, and even like I would go over and look in the windows, and I don't know why, like I'm nosy, but like I'm not that nosy that I'm like walking around looking at people's windows. But I've just, from the day we moved in here, I have just felt like drawn to the house.
I mean, it's true. You're feeling it, right? That's how the souls communicate with all of us, through our intuition, right? We sense and feel things. We can sense and feel the souls of other people. We can sense and feel, them guiding us or leading us. We can sense them warning us, right? And sometimes what people don't realize is that type of feeling sometimes comes from your stomach, right? It's just a pull, like either a pulling away from something or pulling towards something. Mm-hmm. And that's really what's happening here. And by the way, she's apologizing for breaking your laptop, but didn't mean for that to happen. And you know what's crazy? I want you to know this, all right? Because people think that when souls come through and they communicate and weird shit happens, they think that the souls do it on purpose, and they don't. For example, when the lights flicker in your house and a soul is visiting you, it's not your loved ones in spirit going to the wires and like flickering them back and forth, or going to the light switch and turning it on and off. That's not happening. Because your loved ones are energy, they can't help it. So, for example, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an Easter egg that only you guys are going to know. So when I go on television, or when I'm doing a live event, you'll always notice that I have two microphones on me. A microphone on my lapel and a handheld microphone. And when I'm on live television, I always have three mics that are hidden on me. And there's a reason for that. The reason why is because, right, you could put as many new batteries as you want in these microphones. I can't tell you how many times during live events we'll put a new pack of batteries in and it just drains the whole battery from the mic. And it's because when souls are around and they channel through, right, they affect the energy. So that's the reason why lights can flicker, batteries might start to drain. You might walk underneath like a street light and it blows out, right? It's not a soul actually going and turning the light bulb. It's actually a response from the soul being in that nearby area. And that's also the reason why you start to feel like you might feel cold spots in the house, or like energy shifts, or any of those things. And like I said, your loved ones can't help it. It just happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And my boyfriend's son's, husband's son's, phone had gone from 100% to 3% while on the charger the night my computer broke. And that's never happened before, and it hasn't happened again. It was so, and before my computer even broke, I heard him telling Brandon that, and I was just like, wow, that's so weird. And then I went downstairs and the computer was broken.
So here's the signs to look for, right? You could always tell so I want everyone to know, including you, because this is a really good way to test it. So if you want to test if like there's really a soul that's with you, let's say you're feeling something weird, feeling something spooky, first thing that you want to do is you want to take out your phone, right? Take out your phone, put it on camera mode, and then go and like start to film around you and see if you see any orbs, because orbs are actually the energy of our loved ones. So we can't, excuse me, the camera can't see spirits like a medium can, but it can pick up on energy. So for example, if I wave my hand really quick by this lens right now, you're going to kind of see my hand, but kind of not. Well, that's what happens with our phones, right? Is that sometimes we pick up on orbs, or we might pick up on a blur or a distortion in the picture. And really what it is for a split second, that camera picking up on the energy of that spirit. So that's a good way to test. Second good way to test is to also look at your animals, because animals have a different perception than we do. They can sense and feel things like storms coming. They can sense and feel if someone's a good person or a bad person, right? You all know this. So if you see your dog barking at something that's not there, or being, amused by something and nothing's there, most likely they're going and seeing a spirit. And you can tell at that moment too, if it's a good soul or a bad soul. If the dog's like barking and growling, you know if that soul is bad, right? But if it's just that they're intrigued by something and they're intrigued by a visitor from the other side, right? And for example, who just said that? Like Danny May says, my dog stares at something. And yes, cats as well. Coda's asking about cats. Yes. They have a different level of perception. So like people say, oh, dogs can sense when a storm's coming because of science and like, what goes on with their fur, and they can tell like the energy and whatnot. It's not that. It's that dogs and cats are very in tune, just like they can tell when someone's dying, when someone's sick, right? When something's going on with them, they can do the same thing with sensing and feeling spirits as well. So that's two ways to find out: is one, your phone, two, your animals, and three, at the same time, children, young kids. We all start off as psychic. You guys probably don't remember, just like we don't remember being back in the womb, thank God. But from when we're early on in life, souls do come to visit us. And a lot of times children, what you might think are imaginary spirits, are actually souls that are coming and following them. I shouldn't say following them, watching over them from the other side, because your loved ones don't just watch over you from heaven. They want to actively be part of your life and actively be part of you.
Okay. Well, I hope that. I mean, my son never got to meet my grandpa, but I would hope that at least my grandpa gets to see how freaking cute he is now.
He definitely does. Listen, this is your grandfather's way of showing you like that he's still in your life. He's still a part of you. And that no matter what happens within your life, your grandfather sees. Like, he knows about Brendan now. He knows about the house now. He knows everything. And what I want you to know, and this is something that I really want you guys all to understand too, like Katie's like the perfect example of this, is that when you lose a loved one here in this world, right? Evil souls can't just come and enter into your life and wreak havoc. Now, I want to back up on that, because I will tell you that there are times when there are people who get involved with negative souls. It's a whole different topic, whole different discussion. But we naturally have souls that watch over us and protect us. We are naturally given a spirit guide and a guardian angel. And your guardian angel isn't there to just help you through life events. Your guardian angel is actually there to protect you against evil energy and evil spirits. And then you also have you also have a loved one in spirit that watches over you as well, for you with your grandfather. So the nice part is that like, thankfully, there's nothing evil in the house. But like, let's say that there was, like, your grandfather would always be that protection. Like, there's not a soul that's on the other side that could come through and kill you or strangle you in your sleep, right? Despite what we see in horror movies, we are all naturally protected in that way.
Oh yeah, my gramster would F someone up, man. He would never let that happen to me. I do trust him in that. He was from Brooklyn, and that's why I call him my Grampster. And he was always like super protective. Like I said, hated a really shitty boyfriend I had back when I was a kid. And yeah, he was like very protective of me. So I trust him. If he's got my back, I'm good.
I got to tell you, he does. And that's what's so beautiful about this is like, I really wanted to kind of bring him through, because what you can't see, he does, right? And that's what's so beautiful about having a loved one on the other side. It sucks when we lose somebody and we have to say goodbye, but our loved ones genuinely look out for us, and they can see the things that we don't. So for example, your grandfather can see like all this paranormal activity that you're experiencing was because of that neighbor that was next door, was just all this energy that was there that you were picking up on and feeling, and that soul coming through, and the dogs and all of that. Right. And then also at the same time, it's his way of also showing you from the other side that you don't have to worry. Like, you're safe in that house. It's his way of showing you like that, he can see now 5 years into the future, 10 years into the future. He knows what lies ahead of you, and he's always going to be there as a guiding force. And sorry, somebody just says, Gypsy goes, why does he scream when he talks? I'm Italian, you guys. I can't help it. I only have one volume. I try to whisper. Look, it hurts me to whisper. I can't go any lower. So I apologize. It's how I was raised. I'm Italian. I apologize. So if I hurt your ears.
My mom does the same thing. She grew up in Brooklyn, and she's not mad, but she's screaming.
Listen, when I grew up being Italian, if you don't yell, you don't get to eat. Like, that's just the way that it is. Like, that's, I don't know how else to tell you. But anyways, I'm so glad that I got to go and connect with you. And so glad. I'm always going to be here if you need me. You just text me, and, you know, whatever you need, I'll be here. If I get anything else on the rug or whatever it is, I will let you know. But my main priority was to make sure that you were protected, because, like I said, evil energies and evil spirits are no joke. And, you know, like I said, I was alerted because when you first moved into the house, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, what is happening over there? And then all these crazy things happen. Like, even like a lot of people ask me, what about the cadaver dogs? I feel like with those dogs, like, that was all orchestrated by the spirit. That was all orchestrated by the neighbor. Like, I feel like that this neighbor was trying to get attention and just didn't know how.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. Like, I don't know. Like I said, the laptop pissed me off because it was $448 at the Apple store. But, like, it still, I don't know. Like, something about it didn't feel malicious. It felt more attention grabbing to me. And, like, to me, like, I guess I didn't know, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking attention grabbing of, like, okay, finally, like, pay attention to the rug. Like, maybe I have to break her computer for her to be like, oh, maybe this rug is weird. But it felt attention grabbing versus, like, I'm going to ruin your day.
No, it was definitely, like I said, an attention grabbing soul. And you know what's so crazy? It's like, now going up to the time, and this is, sorry to tell you guys, I don't mean to freak you out, but from now going up to Halloween, this is the time when the souls are the most active. Right? Because just like we have things like Mercury retrograde, and there's times when, like, you know, the way the orbit is, that, you know, Earth orbits different planets and different planets get closer to Earth. Well, Halloween is a time when the spirit world and the spirit world and Earth kind of, I don't want to say collide, but they get really close. So there's this veil between our world and the spirit world. It's almost like a mesh curtain that's there, that we can feel them, we can sense them, but we really can't see into that world. But as we get closer to Halloween, is the time when everybody here on Earth is thinking about the dead, the other side, you know, what happens when you die, trying to contact souls, contact the other side. The worlds get closer. And, you know, when we all start doing this, it's almost like we all act as like a big antenna to kind of channel and bring the souls in closer. So this is a time when we start to feel a lot of people who, like, don't even feel like they're psychic or intuitive will start to go and sense and feel and have weird things start to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. When I moved in, nothing really weird happened at all, other than, like, the dogs barking. Like, the dogs have always, well, since living here, like, they will just look out the window and bark at nothing. But yeah, nothing like really weird had happened last October, but this October, lots of weird things. So, but we weren't as attached at that time. Like, it was since then that I was nosy at the windows and called 911 when the house was flooding, and then boarding up the day my computer broke. So it was like more, I feel like, has happened recently. So
I think that the nice part is that you're seeing how you can tune into your intuition, right? You were completely right on. Like, everything that you're telling me, like, in terms of, like, you know, you didn't feel like that it was something that was evil. But you did feel to go over to that house. You did feel a calling to that. Like, you kind of put the pieces together even beforehand, before I even stepped in. Like, it was always there. The message was always there for you. You just kind of needed someone to kind of piece it together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hopefully that this puts some conspiracy theorists to rest if the rug is not connected to a murder. You know what? So that would be great, and hopefully that makes a lot of people feel better.
You know, the thing is, too, is that I'm more worried, I gotta be honest with you, I'm more worried about you being haunted by the living than I am the dead, because I feel like that your house now is gonna be like a hot zone for, like, every single person, like, with, you know, whether it be paranormal activity, whether it be ghost hunters, whether it be what's it called, conspiracy theorists. Like, I feel like your house is gonna be more haunted by living people than it is the dead.
Yeah.
After, like, all the attention.
Yeah, I know. We said maybe we'll move, and then we'll leave this house to be an Airbnb, and you can come conspiracy theory it up and get all your ghost catching equipment out, and we'll just rent it out.
Hey, you know what? That's what they did to the Lizzie Borden house, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear of the Lizzie Borden house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they did. It's an Airbnb now. So you know what? It's not a bad idea. But I want to thank you for having me on. I want to thank you for trusting me in my ability. And more importantly, for all of you guys who tagged me in here to help out Katie and to, figure out kind of what was going on and what was happening. She is such an amazing person. And I know that like all of you guys found her and discovered her because of the rug. But, I also feel like we're all meant to meet for a reason. I all feel like we're all meant to be here for a reason, like even right here on TikTok Live. So that being said, I feel like if it was, and I told you this earlier, like I feel like if this was anybody else where somebody like dug up a rug in their backyard, that nobody would get this attention. Nobody would latch onto it. Nobody would like, even if they made a TikTok, like it would have gotten the traction that it did. But I just feel like because it was you, like people just genuinely connected to you and they see how genuine you are and your family and all of that. And it's the reason why I came and helped in the moment, because I'm tagged in things all the time.
Oh,
and all the time. It's like if someone's dead, I hear about it, I think before the funeral home. So I'm tagging things all the time. But then when everyone was tagging me and I like, I always read my comments. I tapped in, I saw your story. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go help. Like I immediately just, felt a connection with you and the family. And Divine says Kelsey's drained. I'm sorry, Katie's drained. She said, I read that too fast. Yeah, Katie's been through a lot, you guys. This is tough.
Yeah, it's been, but like, I feel like it's getting into like, okay, we're getting answers hopefully. And, they have the rug. And so there's not like a ton left that I feel like I can do. So now it's just like really getting like final answers from you from after they finish processing the rug from what they told me yesterday. And then hopefully that puts everyone's spinning wheels like at ease.
We're going to see what happens. I'm excited. I'm going to be here following the journey with you. And in the meantime, there was also, what's really cool about TikTok and all this is that there's also been like some people who reached out as well, like some private investigators and things like that are also going to be helping out Katie.
I just
you did? Oh, good.
Yep. So there's a girl who has family that's private investigators. So I messaged her first to make sure she had the right address. She did. I said, please don't share it. She said, of course. So she said that she is talking to private investigators that she's worked with, and they're going to do some like history digging. And yeah, but I did just talk to her right before we came on here.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm excited. So that's like, it's really cool kind of how that came to be. So somehow her feed got shared with me. I got in contact with her, then got in contact with Katie. So this is going to continue. We're going to see where it goes.
Yeah. We're all trying to find answers here. We're all nosy. We're all nosy.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for joining us. And I'm so happy that you guys tagged me and that you connected Katie and I together. And if anything else comes through, I'll keep you updated. Katie will keep you updated. So we're going to go from there.